All right, welcome. So that is a little snippet of what we're going to look at in this video lesson today. This is a set of exercises, drills, warm-ups, call them what you will, but we're going to be looking at both the major and minor pentatonic scale. This is going to be a combination of, all the basics of a good practice session. There's going to be an ear training component. We're going to be working on technical facility and a couple specific technical points. We're going to be getting to know the fretboard, getting to know these scales, building some vocabulary along the way. So a lot's packed in here. Let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to work in the key of F sharp, and we're going to use both the major and minor pentatonic. Now, just to be clear, I'm talking about the F sharp major, F sharp minor. So these aren't relative major and minor. This is actually two different scales, two different keys. F sharp major pentatonic, hopefully you know it already. We've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. F sharp minor pentatonic. We've got 1, minor 3, 4, 5, minor 7, 1. So we're going to combine those two scales. We're going to use a full range of 2 octaves. To start off with, let's look at an exercise that's going to get us playing some different pentatonic material across the fretboard within the context of a groove. Now, I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to talk you through some of the concepts involved and all that. But let's just play it first so you can hear what we're dealing with. Okay, so we're jumping all over the place, but your ear probably picked up on a couple of things that I'll point out now. First of all, there's a simple sort of very minimalistic functional bass line that's keeping us anchored throughout this whole thing. Root, root, fifth. Root, root, fifth. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Couldn't be simpler, really. And the reason we're using such a simple bass line is it's just enough that our ear can hear the key. Because we're just using root and fifth, this is going to work for major and minor versions. And there's a ton of space that gets left for the second half of this exercise, all that stuff that you saw me jumping around the fretboard for. So the second part of this, we're going to explain an important concept here. So bear with me for a minute or two. We're taking a cell or a motif and moving it around the pentatonic scale, in this case, the major pentatonic. Now, what is a cell or a motif? Well, in both cases, what we're referring to is a short sequence of notes, probably more than 2 notes, less than 10 notes, a short sequence of notes that can be repeated and moved around a scale. Let me just play the cell. I'm going to move it up and down the scale, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. And we can go further down than that, but you get the idea. They're all different sets of notes, but they all kind of sound the same, and the reason is they have the same shape. It's usually going to be the shape and the rhythm that defines a cell or a motif. The shape that we're using here, I'll play it as low as we can on this instrument on a 4-string. Let's start on our root, F sharp. I'm going to jump up 2 scale degrees. We're in the pentatonic scale. So again, our notes 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. I'm going to jump up 2 scale degrees from my starting note. So I start on the root, I skip over the second, and I jump to the third. And then I just climb back down. I'm on the third, second, root. 1, 3, 2, 1. What if we start on the second scale degree? 2, I'll skip over the third and play the fifth. 3, 2, 2, 5, 3, 2. From the third, we would go 3, skip over 5 and play 6, 5, 3. 5, 1, 6, 5, 6, 2, 1, 6, 1, 3, 2, 1 again. So if this is new and challenging, just play the cell to start with. Play it up and down the scale. Now, once we've got a cell like that, we can start to give it different rhythm so that it feels different. The rhythm is how we apply it to different contexts. This exercise, circling back, we've got a simple functional bass line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then a whole half a measure where we can throw in the cell. And I'm going to throw it in with a specific rhythm. This is what you saw me play a minute ago. I'll stay down here where we've been so far. If I count very slowly, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So the walk down is just eighth notes, 3 and 4. And that first note is acting as a pickup, meaning it leads into the eighth notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So that's the structure of each part of this bass line. And then all I'm doing, here's the full exercise, the final set of instructions. We're going to play that with every possible cell within a 2-octave range. So we're going down to our low F sharp and up to the high F sharp, the 11th fret of the G string. And I like to do this descending, but you could do it ascending as well. So I'm going to play every possible cell. So I played that one 4 times. Now I'll go to the next one. Normally I would do it without stopping. On and on, all the way until we get down to. You can do it 4 times for each motif. You can do it less, you can do it more. 4 is a good number because it's forcing you on a technical level to practice that leap. It's forcing you to think about how you're executing this, and I'll say a little bit more about what I'd recommend in a second here. But hopefully that makes sense. We're taking this cell, we're playing every iteration of it that we can through the major pentatonic scale within a 2-octave spread. Now, quick technical note, like I said, up here on the higher 2 strings especially, you might be wondering let's say we're playing up here. 5, 1, 6, 5, the highest cell in our available note range. You might be wondering, when I go from 5 to 6, this interval where it's the same fret just on 2 different strings, the fourth, which comes up a lot in this exercise, you might be wondering, should I play with my pinky, my fingers curled, just playing one string and then jump? Or should I flatten and do this kind of seesaw thing where my finger's more flat, kind of covering 2 strings at once? Now, there's going to be great players who do both of those. So there's not a wrong choice here. I myself have been trying to work on hopping more and flattening less, especially with the pinky. It's harder on your tendons and your fingers, so long term there's kind of a concern there. I also think it can be a little bit harder to avoid some overlap between the 2 notes. You get really clean separation with hopping. So I'd recommend practicing this where you're hopping strings rather than flattening your finger and just like a bar chord doing both at once. But that said, if the flattening system is what works for you, cool, more power to you. And I definitely flatten with my first finger. I don't have any real concerns about that kind of motion. That feels very comfortable. Okay, so now we can do the same thing with the minor pentatonic. Same idea, different scale. If we just play the cell, we could even add the low E if you want to. We'll extend our range a little bit. Same thing, let's not go past that high F sharp, at least for this video demonstration. Just to talk that through, in case this is a reach still for anybody, it's the same idea with that cell. We've got 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 1 in our scale. Obviously I'm talking scale degrees, not fret numbers or anything like that. 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 1. So if I'm starting on the root, I want to skip 1 scale degree. I'm going to skip over the 3rd and play the 4th, and then climb back down. 3, root. Root, 4, 3, root. If I'm starting on the 3rd, I'm going to skip over the 4th and jump up to the 5th, 4th, 3rd. 3, 5, 4, 3. 4, 7, 5, 4, 5, 1, 7, 5, 7, 3, 1, 7, 1, 4, 3, 1. And if you're wondering, when I'm playing this in time and all that, I'm not thinking about each scale degree, and I'm definitely not thinking about the note names. I'm not going F sharp, B, A, F sharp, because our brains just don't move that fast. I mean, maybe if you're really good, you can do that. What I'm thinking about is that shape. Here, I skip a scale degree and go up, and I climb back down. Let's go ahead and check that out. So we've talked through how this works. Now I'm going to play the minor version of it. Maybe I'll do each motif 2 times just so it's not too long on the video. And you'll get the idea. Hopefully this will help to solidify the concept of what we're doing. added in the low E there. I also think I skipped one cell. So if you notice that, good for you. You can make this, you can change this as you go. The more times you repeat each motif, like let's say you do each cell 8 times before you move on to the next one, the benefit of that is you're going to really drill moving your hand across that distance. You're going to really drill the fingering. And this is tricky because we're playing, like here, for example. I mean, that one measure uses all 4 strings. It uses a span of, 9 frets? This is a lot of movement on the instrument, both here and over here as well. So if you play each one several times before you move on, you're really drilling and dialing in and strengthening all that technical stuff. And then on the flip side, as you get more comfortable, you can play each one less and less, and that's going to force you to mentally change gears more quickly, which is a different challenge. Okay, I know I'm on my first cell. Now, what's my next cell? Okay, what's the next one? Okay. That's going to really test how well do you know where all of these notes are. When you don't have time to stop and prepare and think, okay, in 2 more times I go to the next cell, what is that? You're really doing it all on the fly. So that's the basic exercise that I would start with. And then is there more we can do from there? Well, yes, there is. This is more of an etude, less of a groove for sure. I don't think anyone would call this groovy, or no one would say this is really great pocket, but it's a good etude to further dial in this technical stuff, especially that whole hopping thing I was talking about. Or if you're playing with the flat system, cool, you're dialing that in too. And this is going to really help to further solidify the sound difference between major, minor pentatonic. I'm going to show it to you first where we separate out. We just do the major scale, we just do the minor scale, and then I'm going to show you how you can combine them in some ways that'll really be good for your ears. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to scrap that simple little bass line, and we're just going to work on some cells. You can do this with the whole 2-octave range, but for this demo, to keep it kind of more concise, I'm just going to show it to you on the things that fall on the top 2 strings, maybe our highest 4 cells. Let's start with the, why don't we start minor since we started major last time? What we're going to do is we're going to create a constant stream of notes, no pauses, no differences in rhythm, just da, 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 da. You can call it 8th notes if you want, using these cells. So this is not going to fit nicely into a measure of 4/4, though you can play it over a drum loop, and maybe I'll show you that. What we're going to do for each cell, we're going to start out playing it the way we have. And then I'm going to repeat that. And I'm going to stop there. So just to make sure we're on the same page, 5, I skip 6 and play 1, 6, 5. And now I'm doing it again. I skip 6 and play 1, 6. And rather than land on the 5, I'm now going to go to the next cell. 4, I skip, sorry, I said 6 before and I meant 7. 4, I skip 5 and play 7, 5, 4. Again, skip 5 and play 7, 5. And now on to the next cell. It sounds really tricky when I say it like that. I probably just should have found a different way to explain this. But really what we're doing is we're taking these 3 notes and we're playing it 2 times. Again. Now move it down the scale. Now move it down the scale. And again. But I'm going to do all that without pausing, a steady, even rhythm. I'll do it with the drum loop. It will sound like this. So again, probably not the most melodic thing in the world. If you have roommates, they're probably not going to love this, but really good exercise. It's forcing me to think about these different cells, to play with some fluidity. It's a great technical challenge, and it's also rhythmically a little bit funky, so it's going to push you. You could also speed this up. Let's say you start to get that pretty comfy and you want to start to push for speed. All you have to do is increase the subdivision. I could do the same thing as triplets. It would sound like this, more or less. If you're really brave and faster than me, you could do 16th notes. I'm not even going to try that. You can speed it up and slow it down to match. Obviously, though, start slow. This isn't meant to primarily be a speed training thing. This is meant to be ear training, fretboard knowledge, and consistent, clean technique down here. Let me walk you through the major version of that. Same idea, it's just going to sound more major. So there's our first cell. I'm back in the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. Saying that to remind myself as much as you. So I'm going to play 5, skip over 6, and play 1, 6, and then repeat it. 5, 1, 6. On to the next cell. 3, 6, 5, 3, 6, 5. 2, 5, 3, 2, 5, 3. 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. Let's hear it with time, again as eighth notes. And you can take it down the whole range. I'm just sticking to those first 4 cells for time's sake. Okay, so we've got the minor version of that. We've got the major version of that. I've showed you how to speed it up and slow it down. You can play with the range. You also, by the way, could change the rhythm. If you wanted to do something that was, this would be more like a motif kind of thing. You could do things like that, whatever you want. Now, there's one more thing that I might recommend trying with this. Let's combine major and minor. What this is going to do, if somebody else is listening to you do this, they'd probably be like, oh my God, stop. But what it's going to do for you is it's going to help you train your ears to hear that switch between major and minor over the same root, because that's kind of the key here. Everything's over F sharp root, but we're going back and forth between major and minor, which is super common in like a soloist, or sometimes with different harmonic things where we might mix and match major and minor from a parent root. Anyway, there's a number of ways you can do this. Let me show you what I think is the easiest way. Let's go down, up in, we'll say minor, and then without stopping, down and up in major. You can go back and forth. Cool. And you can go back and forth. You could also, this is going to sound a little crazy, but you can switch every cell. So why don't I play a minor cell and then play the major version of it? minor version of it, major version of it. Minor, major, minor, major. This is really going to help your ears start to switch back and forth. On and on, you get the idea. That's tricky. I stumbled there myself. There's probably a lot of ways you could combine this. And by the way, you can do the same thing with that first exercise. So I'm going back and forth every time, where I'm going to the same region, the same position on the fretboard, minor, major, and then going down to the next one. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. There's a million variations of your own you could probably come up with. Let me know if you do. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.